Hey guys, welcome back to another devlog of my game, Dungen Shooters. It's been a while again, but I've been really busy with work, and I also went on a week-long camping trip, so I didn't have much time. I changed and added a lot though, and most of it was in one day, believe it or not. But yeah, let's get to it. The first thing I did was try to improve the dungeon generation. Before it was kinda bad. First, I spawned a room, and then it could spawn 1 to 4 rooms beside it. I basically just repeated that until the number of rooms reached a certain point. Then it would just block off the excess openings. It was actually super complicated, and I had an entire class just for the openings of each room, and I made a whole queue system, and it was all just a mess. The system wasn't even that good because it was entirely random what rooms were chosen. I did some research and came across an article about how Enter the Gungeon handles their generation. To just sum it up quickly, to generate a dungeon, the algorithm first picks a random graph. What's a graph, you ask? 1 second. Okay, a graph is a set of points called vertices or nodes. Each of the nodes are connected to each other with edges. Okay, that doesn't sound too complicated, but in programming there are a lot of functions that have to do with graphs that are pretty complicated. Actually, I think when you do a coding interview, they mostly give you problems that have to do with graphs. Anyways, I was talking about Enter the Gungeon. The algorithm chooses a random graph, then it splits it up into separate loops, and shoves some extra rooms in there. After that, it actually builds a level, which is the complicated part. It starts by choosing one of the loops, or composites, and places the first room down. There are tons of different room prefabs, and it chooses a random one of a certain type each time. The next room is then instantiated. A random exit gets chosen for both the new room and the last room. The new room is lined up so the exits match, and it repeats. Then when all the composites are laid down, it joins them together. This article explains it much better, but if you want a more in-depth explanation, I don't think you're going to find it. Anyways, if you're interested in procedural generation, I would suggest checking out the article. I'll leave the link in the description. So I set off to work and quickly ran into a problem. I didn't know how I was going to make the graphs. I could just write them down in text files, but I don't know how to parse text files into data structures, and I didn't feel like learning, so I went a different route. I did some research online, and found that some people were working on a node editor framework for Unity, and it sounded perfect for what I wanted. I downloaded it and put it in my project. Now I have to say, it's certainly not the nicest thing to use. There's no documentation and it's not terribly flexible, so I actually had to change some of the core code. Eventually I got it working, and I had a layout editor that I was pretty happy with. Now I just had to make the actual algorithm, and that's when things went south. Long story short, I gave up because it was really hard. I almost should have stuck with it to learn more about graphs and trees and all that, but it wasn't worth the time and pain it would cause me. Before I completely gave up though, I went to see if there were any other node editors that had some of the graph logic that I needed. I found another one, Xnode, and I thought I would give it a try. It's a lot more of a framework though, and it doesn't really do as much right out of the box. I didn't look into it too much because I'm pretty sure it didn't actually provide an editor window. You have to make one for yourself. I could be wrong, but I didn't want to deal with it. I just simplified the heck out of the algorithm, and now I have this. Rather than each layout being a graph, it's a prefab with a bunch of room nodes. These nodes can be a certain room type, like a loot room, a normal room, or a shop. Then when the game starts, the generator spawns a random room in that spot depending on what type it is. You'll probably notice that the hallways are different too. Before, they were actually corridors, but now they just teleport you to the next room. I think it looks better, but let me know what you think. It also makes the level generation much simpler, however. The rooms aren't actually linked together in any way, they're just simply these teleporters in between all of the rooms. Because of that, I could potentially add some more complexity to the generation in the future, like having a larger variety of room shapes. The other big change in the game is sounds. This is my first time adding sounds to a game before, and I'm never going to leave it out again. Sounds make such a huge difference in how engaging the game is. first thing I did was watch Bracky's video about making an audio manager, so I copied it into my project. It worked, but I saw this little thing and I needed to change it all. Unity provides an option to have 3D sounds. So let's say there's an enemy way over to the right. If it makes a noise, the sound is mostly going to come out of the right speaker. Also, the further away sounds are, the quieter they are. These two things make the audio much more engaging and makes the game feel more immersive. I found all the sounds online on some free sites, and for the music, I just looked through YouTube's music library until I found something that was good enough. All the sounds are temporary though, and will probably change in the future. One final thing I did was add some new weapons, so I'll just go over all the base weapons I have so far. First of all, I have a basic machine gun. It's not very exciting, but yeah. Next, I have a shotgun. It shoots out a few bullets evenly spaced apart. Then there's the sniper. It shoots a lot slower, and the bullets move much faster. It can also pierce a few enemies, so if you line them up, you can take them down with one shot. The next weapon is an electric ball shooty thingy. It shoots a bit slower than the machine gun and does more damage. After that, there's the burst gun thing. It shoots out a burst of 3 bullets and it's much more accurate. Then there's the wide gun, which shoots out 3 bullets side by side. The long shotgun is a bigger shotgun. That's pretty much it. Next, I have the SMG, which shoots ridiculously fast, but it's inaccurate and it does barely any damage. The last gun is one of my favorites. The sniper shotgun is basically if a sniper and a shotgun had a baby. So that's all I did this time. I hope you guys liked the video. Smash that like button if you did, and hit the dislike button if you didn't. Thanks for watching, make sure to leave a comment, and see you next time.